remember, I already know those of you who will not remember, but how many of you remember Tony Brown's journal? Raise your hand, right? So, and how many of you knew that Imam Worthy Muhammad not only loved Tony Brown's journal, but he was actually on Tony Brown's journal a couple of times, yes? So, Tony Brown's journal was a religion, another religion in our household. We watched Tony Brown's journal. I shouldn't say, I won't say this, I'll say this offline. But I remember he had a saying, but he was saying that Tony Brown used to say that there were two dangers to the community. And I'll share that later. Anyhow, going back to Sister Ayesha. Sister Ayesha is the third woman editor and the longest tenured editor of the near 49-year-old newspaper, which is the Muslim Journal, right? In actuality, we know that it was Muhammad Speaks, and then when we had the transition in 1975, Imam Worthy Muhammad not only changed the name of our newspaper, but he changed our mindsets, yes? Sister Ayesha also initiated the Muslim Journal's signature annual weekend celebration, A Time to Be Grateful. How many of you enjoy A Time to Be Grateful? Yes. It started in Chicago in 2005, my mom's hometown, and it held the second weekend. It's held the second weekend in December every year, which happens to be my birthday weekend, right? Okay, anyhow. Sister Ayesha is an esteemed faculty member at Tougaloo College's Mass Communications Department. She teaches newsprint journalism. She is a board member of the International Museum of Muslim Cultures headquartered in Jackson, Mississippi. And she's also a board member for Justice for All, the international organization documenting worldwide distressed Muslim populations. Sister Ayesha is also the mother of 4 beautiful children. She's the grandmother of 5. She has her own United Nations because, as she says, 5 out of 5 of her grandchildren, 2 are of Haitian descent, 1 is Latino, Afro-Latino, and 2 are African-American. She calls them, again, her own little United Nations. She's an advocate for foster care and restorative justice, the criminal system reform. And before I ask you to welcome Sister Ayesha, I don't think many of us, well, a lot of our pioneers, we understand the history of Muslim Journal, but we don't realize how Muslim Journal is our voice. And I'm not going to do a shameless plea. I think before all of us leave out today, we should come up with at least $20 to $100, if not more, to give towards the Muslim Journal, because we don't realize that Sister Ayesha, not only is she the editor-in-chief, but she sacrifices a lot to keep that newspaper going. Mayor Mamdani, raise your hand if you know who he is. Right? Who's mayor? Alhamdulillah, right? And I've been hiding from Sister Ayesha. I was like, when I saw her, I said, oh my goodness, I hope she doesn't kill me. Because, you know, she has allowed me to write for her for almost, I'm getting my age again, 20 years. And when I saw Imam Ishmael's article on the front page chronicling Mayor Mamdani, I knew that it's like a next generation. But it's because of Sister Ayesha's sacrifice. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming our dear esteemed sister, Sister Ayesha Mustafaa.
Which mic are we speaking in? Is it this one?
Yes.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Sister Katrina just took care of all of my back office work Yeah, I appreciate her so much. She's been a jewel that kind of literally just fell in our lap 20-some years ago, and she just started sending us material from the West Coast. When she was living out on the West Coast, sending us material, people out there, what should be in the Muslim Journal, you gotta do this and you gotta do that, and then we have an organization, the National Newspaper Publishers Association. I looked up and she was on the screen with the National Newspaper Publishers Association. So she gave us credibility, and she added to our visibility in the profession of journalism. I come to learn more and more about Imam Ismail Salim, and that's a whole nother category. I talk about keep up, catch up, hurry up. You know, I mentioned that we were Facebook friends, and sometimes I go into the back channel. I say, Ismail, you may not want to say it like that. And my thought is, we can't afford for you to get locked up. we don't need any more locked up heroes. You know, we need you out here with us on the front line, carrying the charge and keeping us focused. And there are so few like you. You know, because when they have that tenacity and that get and go, they get up and go. They take it somewhere else and somebody else values about it. So he gives me this task out of the 4 birds of business. And I said, well, what do you think about that? But inshallah, I think a lot that the beloved Mujahideen and his beautiful wife Marsha, which is another jewel that just kind of fell in our lap. All of a sudden she was there, and she was doing things and improving our status and organizing, and just took off. And I said, how long has she been around? You know, basically I had to go back and find out, who is this person? Where did she come from? And but Allah is merciful, and He blessed us with these jewels. Mujahideen also, Mujahideen is the vice president of the Muslim Journal Board of Directors. And we matched him with the senior president, Imam Abdul Kareem Muhammad, out of Masjid al-Haq in Newark. And when we were creating a new board of directors, because we got to start this transition of putting it into someone else's hands so that they can, you know, live outside of us and live past Malcolm. We've got to live past all of us, you know. We're not going to take it with us. And so the fertile ground is Newark. I mean, Newark Soul Mode, Muhammad speaks, you know, brothers, you know, you had that quota of 300. Newark was doing 1,000 per brother. And they had a competition between themselves. We'll do 1,000 papers. That was at Newark, New York Cardi. And that was that competition. We'll sell more Muhammad speaks than any other mosque or area in the country. Muhammad speaks was the #1 income generator for the Nation of Islam. You had the bakeries and the meat plants, and you had the stores, the uniform stores, you had the restaurants, you had all these other things, but the #1 generator of income was your voice piece, the Muhammad Speaks. And we can never thank these brothers, that FOI, the Fruit of Islam, who were the leads that carried that paper out into the community. I know people say, stop talking about the old stuff. We wouldn't have gotten to the new stuff without the old stuff. And you do not achieve some level of accomplishment and then disrespect those who got you there. When Imam Muhammad came into office, he had dinners in the National House where he invited the senior brothers, the senior FOIs to the National House. And you know, the National House is well And the employees were there, it was full of sisters who served dinners all the time. But he said, no, they stood around the back row, back of the wall. He got those serving plates and went to each brother's plate that he invited the pioneer brothers and served their plates himself. That's how he treated his father's followers, who believed whatever his father had told them and would carry that through. But that's how he treated those believers that supported his father. And sometimes we get into these little spats on Facebook, and I had to say one time, you need to get your foot out the back of these brothers. They'll move on as soon as it's time for them to move. But what we do not do is try to push them out the door. They sacrifice too much. Imam Muhammad would talk about a brother in Chicago, and then he started naming everything he could. He named it Ephraim Baha. We were looking around, who is Ephraim Baha? Can't find anything on him on paper. But the Imam remembered him. Ephraim Baha was a brother who would go through the neighborhoods in Chicago and collect old items, steel, metal, cans, and he would have a bed that he would pull through the alleys to collect stuff in. Now this is a truck bed, but there's no truck. Even Baha pulls a bed with a strap on it through the alleys of Chicago to collect items. He takes those and sells those, and he takes the money to Sister Clara and hands it to her to help sustain her family while Elijah Muhammad is locked up. So we had the Ephraim Baha Center, you know, and so he respected those people who helped sustain his family and got no credit for it. They weren't in the paper. You know, they didn't seek acknowledgement. They just did what they had to do, and they saw who the Elijah Muhammad was. They saw how his family was deprived of his presence, and they stepped up to the plate. So let us always be aware or ready to just step up to the plate. You don't have to ask. If you're sitting there and you're watching, and that's the thing we knew about Chicago, you don't go asking for positions. You just sit and you watch and see what comes open. If there's a need, you fill it. Because the brothers were taught a Muslim does not leave his post until he's properly relieved. So if he hasn't been properly relieved, that post is going to be filled for a long time. But if you see a time where your brother or your sister is weary, or the post becomes open, and you have something to contribute, then you step up and you fill the gap. It's not that you're looking for acclamations or adorations or even position. Because, you know, we say those who are advocating for a post, you don't give it to them. If they're campaigning to be your leader, hold up. Somebody's out there saying, I'm the successor of Imam W.D. Muhammad, and come follow me, and you haven't seen them do anything in front of you, that's not your leader. And there's nowhere, nothing that convince you that Imam Muhammad left them in charge of you. Right. So I'm going to try to get back to my topic that my dear brother put me on. So I can contribute to something I can contribute to that too. I want to be on record that I hear and I obey. If our leaders tell us to do something, we try to fulfill the obligation that they put upon us. And I'm also trying to fulfill the obligation that the Muslim Journal has put upon me, because you do not leave your post until you're properly relieved. Now we know Brother Mujahideen and Sister Marsha covered pretty well the concept of the 4 birds this morning. And then we had that beautiful, unexpected tribute to come for Sister Katrina and her 3 students from the university that came with her, and it was just heartwarming. Really felt, heartfelt, and unexpected. You wasn't on the program. I didn't see your name. I didn't even know you were in the neighborhood. I knew you had moved from the West Coast to the East Coast.
I was trying to hide it on here.
We know where you are now. Yeah. You're not going overseas with your husband, are you?
I'm pretty sure I yes. I'll still be in contact.
She said yes. Okay. Well, we're going to pray with you too then. If that's what you want, then we're praying for you too. And we know there's the Islamic mantra that the ink of the scholar is more precious than the blood of the martyr. And of course, that concept, that thought is very appropriate at this time that we're in. Because we know that you have to keep checking your phone today, every day now, is to see, are we at war? I mean, I check my text messages, all the feeds that I have, all of them, see, are we at war yet? And what's the state of the believers? There are Muslims out there. Everybody's not attacked because of their political persuasion or their position in a government, but Muslims are being attacked. And what is our disposition? We know war is bad, we know war is war, and it's damaging to the planet. Along with watching to see, are we at war, trying to see, is the planet holding up? How's the ground faring? You're looking for that one event that may disrupt life across the entire planet. And it looks like somebody just is determined to test it. With this much bombing and this much upheaval, how do we expect the earth to respond? And the Quran tells us, you would be asking, what is wrong with her when she gets into her upheaval? And we really are testing our Mother Earth. And then, of course, we act like we didn't have anything to do with it. We as believers are told, if you see a wrong, correct it. Physically correct it. That's what we're told. And it said, but if you cannot, then physically, emotionally, verbally speak out against it. And then it says, but if you cannot, at least feel bad about it in your heart. So we know all of those conditions, some of those we can fulfill, some of those that we have conditions on us that we can't respond. Most of us are in a position where we really just have to feel bad about it within our hearts. We have our livelihoods, we have people that are dependent on us, we even have a homestead that we don't want to lose. And there's this running statement on Facebook now that as we contemplate these things, and one person is talking to the rest of us, and he said, but what can I do? He says, I'm just one person out of 2 billion. What can I do? We have 2 billion Muslims on the planet Earth. If we are not doing anything but feeling bad, we should have an impact. If 2 billion Muslims are not lifting a finger towards anything, but you really feeling bad about it in your heart, and that's the weakness of your faith, I believe in telepathy. I think you can change an event by the way you feel about it.